Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to build an entire application with user interface and database from scratch. So it is going to be a fully functional application that can be used for some real life problems. So if you watch this video until the end, you are going to learn how to build applications with user interface and database that you can use for your job or to help you with productivity, with some everyday tasks, and so on. I will show you how to build gym application, and then after you watch this video, when you learn all the steps and logic, you can use those and modify them a little bit in order to build an application that you need. And before I show you the application that we are going to build, many of you asked me for some additional resources to learn programming. So I am going to pin in the comments some great resources for beginners to help you learn programming faster. So make sure to check those out. Also, all the tools that we will use for this video will be linked in the description so that you can download them. But maybe watch this video first so that you can get a general idea of how we will do things. And then you can rewatch the video and code along with me. So here is the application that we are going to build. As you can see, here we have a list of all gym users, as you can see, and then membership types. And what you can do here is you can filter users by membership type. So when you click on a specific membership type, you get the list of all the users who are subscribed to that membership type. Another thing that you can do, you can also add new users. So let's say ID 10, membership type, let's say 2, and then first name is going to be Steve Jobs, and let's confirm this transaction. So now if I click on membership type 2, as you can see here, we have Steve Jobs. So you can add new users, you can remove existing users. Let's remove me, let's remove Salina Norak, delete record. Okay, and let's try to find Salina Norak. Okay, I don't exist in this database anymore. And you can also edit existing records. So you can say Stevie Jobs. Okay, and if I select this again, as you can see, it's now Stevie Jobs. Okay, so let's now see how we can build this application. So we will divide this into two steps. The first step is to create a database. The second step is to create application, and then we are going to connect those two. So please, if you need help with installing and setting up the database, or if you are experiencing some problems that are not happening to me in this video, please make sure to watch the video that I will link here. I will also put it in the description. I explain everything step by step there. So the first step is to start Interbase Server. So open Interbase Server Manager and start the server. Okay, and then you can run your IV console. And here you should be able to connect to your local server. You should see this green check mark, and here are the list of all of your databases. I'm going to create a new database. So right click on databases and create database. And we are going to create a new database on desktop. So I will call it GymDB and click save and then click OK. And you should be able to see your database here. Okay, and here the default password is master key. I'm going to put that on the screen. So default username and password. I will type it here and click connect. And as you can see, we have successfully connected to our GymDB. And that database is currently empty. So let's proceed with the next step. So before we proceed and create tables for the database and enter data, let's do a little bit of planning. Let me open Paint. So the application that we are going to build is gym application. And the reason why I picked this example is because it has use in real world. So if you think about that, you will notice that there are two important entities that we need to represent in our database. And those two are gym users and their membership types. So we will have two tables. The first one will be gym users and the second one will be membership types. So let's draw those two. Okay, so this is going to be users and then this is going to be membership types. Let's add text here. Let's say gym users. Okay, and I will just make this text a little bit bigger. I'll make it bigger like this. Okay, so this is gym users. And then let's also add another one, let's say membership types. Okay. Great. Now, let's see how these two tables are going to be connected. So let's say that you're signing up to the gym for the first time. So you don't know if you will like it, if you will see any results, and you decide to get a monthly membership. So try it out for a month only. After that month, maybe you have lost some weight, you have put on some muscle, and you have seen the first results of your training. So you decide that you like it and that you want to continue. So you want to get a longer membership, maybe for a year. So if you look at this relationship, you will notice that every user at a given moment can have only one membership type. So that can be weekly, monthly, yearly, 6 months, doesn't really matter, but every user can have only one membership type. But if you look at the same situation from different perspective, from the perspective of membership types table, then you will notice that every membership type can be assigned to multiple users. Maybe there are 10 users who have monthly membership and then 100 users who have yearly membership. So this is a typical example of one-to-many relationship. So every gym user can have only one membership, but every membership type can have multiple users that use that membership, that are subscribed to that membership. So N representing multiple. And this is an example of one-to-many relationship. So now that we have explained this, let's head back to our IB console and let's create these two tables with SQL. And the first table that needs to be created is the table that has this many part of the relationship, meaning membership types. And the reason is because that is the independent table. So it is independent in a way that when you want to create a gym user, you need to have a membership type to assign to that user. So that means that membership types needs to be created first. So let's go to our IB console, and I'm going to select my gym DB and click on this SQL in order to be able to write SQL queries. Okay, so here is my SQL code in order to create these two tables. I'm going to paste it here. And let's explain what this code here does. So you say create table, and then you give the name to your table. In this case, it's membership types. Again, we are creating independent table first. And then inside these parentheses, you will specify the columns of your table. So the attributes. Okay, and we have two. We have membership ID and membership name. So membership ID is going to be of type integer and it cannot be null. And then membership name is going to be a string. In this situation in SQL, it's called varchar and it can have up to 50 characters. And again, it also cannot be null. And then here we are creating something called primary key, which means that a field that is a primary key will be used in order to uniquely identify every row, every record inside this table. And in this situation, we are saying that membership ID, so this property here, this attribute will be used as a primary key, meaning it will be used in order to uniquely identify every single record inside this table. And whatever we specify as primary key inside this table, that will be used as a foreign key inside another table in order to connect those two tables. So that is how we create our membership types table. And then if you want to create gym users table, again, we say create table and give the name to that table, gym users. And inside these parentheses, again, you specify the columns of that table. And in this situation, we have 4 columns. Those are these 4. This is something else, which I will explain in a minute. So we have 4 columns. The first one is gym user ID, which is, again, it is a unique way to identify every single gym user because 2 users can have the same name. They can even have the same last name, but their user ID needs to be unique. So for every single gym user, he needs to have a unique ID. Okay, so that is the first column. And then we have column first name and last name, and those two are strings of up to 30 characters. That string type in databases is called varchar, and then you specify how many characters it will have. This is the maximum number of characters that it can have. And then we have membership ID, and this membership ID is going to be a membership from this table that is assigned to our user. So every single user is going to have a membership ID of a membership type that he is subscribed to. And this membership ID, you specify it here as a foreign key to this table. So here you say, we have a foreign key inside our gym users, and that is going to be a field called membership ID, which is this field here. And it references a table called membership types, so this table here. And inside that table, we are using this field here, this membership ID, as our foreign key. So that is what this line here means. So it is going to be a membership type that our user is subscribed to. And then here we are saying that a primary key for this table is going to be this field here, gym user ID. Okay, so now that I have copied this to our SQL query, I'm going to execute these two. Again, please keep in mind that first you need to create independent table. So you need to select this membership types table and click on this here. So execute query, or press F5 on your keyboard. Okay. And then create this second table, select it and press F5 or this execute query. There are a few very important tips related to this. And the first one is, if you get any sort of error when you are trying to execute these queries or upon insertion of the data, what you need to do is you need to go to transaction and then options, and you need to set this access mode to write, and you are not going to get any errors. That is the first tip. And then the second tip is that SQL is not case sensitive, which means that if you write this create table with capital letters is the same as if you wrote it with lowercase, like this. Okay, so it is absolutely the same, this approach and this approach. But one important thing that you do need to keep in mind is that you cannot use keywords in SQL as names for your tables. So you cannot name this table, for example, user, because that is a keyword. And if you can see, it has even been bolded. So this is a keyword in SQL, so you cannot use it as a name for your table or attribute or something like that. So here I will change it back to gym users. So now that we have created these two tables, we should be able to see them here. But since that did not refresh automatically, I'm just going to close this and open it again. Okay, and as you can see, here are our two tables. And when you select a specific table here, you can see all the columns of that table. If you find another way, a better way to refresh this, that is not closing it and opening it again, let me know in the comments. So let's insert a couple of records to our tables. And again, the first table that I want to insert records into is going to be membership types, because we don't have any membership type. So that means that if we try to create a gym user, we will not have a membership type to assign to that user. Okay, so let's say insert into membership types. Okay, and here I'm going to specify the columns that I want to insert into. So the columns of this table, we have them here. So the first one is membership ID. Okay, and then the second one is membership name. And here I want to specify values. So inside parentheses, I will specify values in this order. So the first is membership ID. Let's say that membership ID is going to be 1, and then membership name. Let's say that membership name will be weekly. Please keep in mind that this here is an integer, so we don't need any quotation marks. But since this is a string or varchar type, we are specifying this inside these single quotation marks. Okay, so select this query and execute it. And here we have the error that I mentioned. So let's very quickly fix this error. Let's go to transactions, options, and let's set this access mode to write. Okay. Okay, so if I try to execute this query again, it has successfully been executed. And one more thing that you need to do is you need to commit this transaction. So go to transactions and then commit or press F9. Okay, and with this, we have successfully inserted data into our membership types table. So let's check out what data we have inside this table. We should have only one record. So I'm going to say select all from this table here. Okay. And if I press F5, we are going to see that we have only one row, and that is this one that we have just inserted. So let's insert two more. I'm just going to copy this and paste it 2 times. So let's change the values. Here I'm going to say 2, and then membership name is monthly. Okay, and then let's say 3, and membership type will be called yearly. And I'm going to insert these two. So let's insert this one and then this one. And I will commit these two transactions. So if I try to select everything from my membership types table again, you can see that now we have 3 records. And those are these 3 that we have just inserted. And please change the ID of every record that you are inserting, because as we said, ID needs to be unique. So you cannot have 2 records with the same ID, because if you do that, you are going to get an error. Let's now add a couple of gym users. Here I have typed already a code in order to select all records from gym users table and to insert a couple of records into our gym users table. And again, the approach is absolutely the same. You say insert into and then the name of your table. And here you specify all of the column names. You can see them here. Okay, and then you say that the values that you want to insert are following, and you specify those values in this order here. So first is gym user ID, second is first name, and then last name, and here is membership ID. And here you can see all the membership names and their belonging IDs. Okay, so I'm going to insert these records. Okay. And I need to commit this transaction. And now I can select everything from my gym users. And as you can see here inside gym users table, we have 4 gym users. So that would be all for the SQL part. Let's now see how we can show this data inside our C++ app, delete it, update, filter, and so on. So I am going to open my CRUD Studio, and the first step is to create a blank C++ application. So click on File, New, and then Multi-Device Application with C++ Builder. Again, if you are absolutely new to C++ Builder and you need help to introduce you to C++ Builder or some simpler application to build first, make sure to watch this video. I will link it on the top of the screen, and also I will leave a link in the description. So I explain everything step by step here, and in this course we are going to continue from that. So here you are going to select blank application and click OK. And now it is creating a blank application. Let's wait a couple of seconds. Okay, so here is our application. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to connect our database with C++ app. So go to this Data Explorer tab, and here under Fire Deck, you are going to notice different types of databases that you can connect with this C++ application. And the database that we are using is called Interbase. So open it here. And here you will notice something called employee. That is default connection. So the first thing, please don't delete this connection. If you don't like the name, if you want to change it to something else, you can simply rename it, but don't delete it, because you get only one connection. And if you delete it, you will have a problem. So, okay, now what I want to do here is I want to modify this connection and specify the details of our database so that we are able to connect to the database that we just created. So here we will have to change 2 things. The first one is this database. So click on this folder here and find the database that we have just created. Mine was on desktop. I'm going to click on desktop, and it was this GymDB. Okay, so I'm going to open that database. That is the first part that I have to change. And then the second part is to change this TCP IP to local. Okay, that is default. So if I click OK here, and if I double click here, now you should be able to see the tables of your database. If you are not able to see these tables, there are 2 steps that you can do in order to fix it. First one is you need to have your server running. If it is not running, then please start your Interbase server through your Interbase manager. Okay. And then the second step is, again, you can right click on this employee and click on modify. And here you are going to change your server to the text that I'm going to put here on the screen. So it is localhost/gds_db. Okay, and click OK, and then it should work and you should be able to see the tables of your database. So now that we have specified all the data necessary for our connection, so we have said that we want to connect to a database that is local, so it is on our computer, it is called GymDB. And now what I want to do is I want to use this connection for the application that we are currently building. And that is very easy to do. So in order to use this connection with our C++ application that we are currently building, just drag and drop it to this form here. Okay. And then one more thing that you need to do is inside this object inspector, you need to say that connected is true. Okay, because by default, it is not connected. That is all. Now, how can we show the data from these tables that we created? Again, it's extremely easy. Just drag and drop the table that you want. Okay, and here again, you need to set the connected or active property to true. Okay. And in order to show the data, in order to see the data, you will need to have some sort of grid where the data from that table is going to be shown. So I'm going to find a grid inside this palette. So I will call it T-string grid. Okay, that is the name of the control that we need. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to say that this grid will show the data from this table here. How do you do that? Just right click on the table and click on bind visually. Okay, and here you have your gym users table and you have your string grid. And to connect them, just do this. And as you can see here, we have all the data from our table shown inside this grid. And again, if you don't see the data, please make sure that your active state of your gym users table is set on true, because if it is false, you will not be able to see the data. Let's just make this a little bit bigger so that we can see all the data on the screen. Okay, and I will do the same for membership types table. So just drag and drop table on your form, and I will add a new T-string grid in order to be able to show the data from my table inside this grid. And I want to connect these two. So here is my membership table and here is my string grid, and I will just connect them like this. Okay, and the reason why we are not seeing the data here is because our membership types table is not connected. So you need to set its active state to true, and you will be able to see the data from your table. Now, this that I have just demonstrated is a very cool feature that C++ Builder has, and it is called live binding, and it enables us to see this data from the database while we are working and developing our app. So if I run this program, let's see what we will get. We should have an application that shows gym users and membership types, and I'm running it for the first time, so it's going to take a little bit longer. Okay, so here is our gym users and here is our memberships table. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to be able to add new records, add new gym users, and maybe edit existing ones, delete, and so on. So now I'm going to show you how you can do that. Close this application, and there is a control called Navigator. You can find it inside this palette. So I'll find Navigator. So T-bind Navigator, and I will put it here. We will use it for this gym users table, and in order to connect these two, you just do, again, this. Okay, so now if I run this application, let's see what we can do with this Navigator. We can use it in order to add new users, delete existing users, or update them, navigate through pages if we have a lot of users, and so on. So let's try that out. Let's add a new user. I will give him ID 5, and let's say that he has membership type 2, and his first name is Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Zuck. Okay, and I will just click on this check mark in order to confirm my transaction. And with that, we have successfully added new user. Now, if I close this application and open it again, you should see that now we have Mark Zuckerberg as the 5th user. So that data has been stored to our database. And it doesn't matter if you close your application or you turn off your PC, you will have that data permanently stored in your database until you delete it from the database, which you can do. And you can do that by selecting the record that you want to delete and then clicking on this minus sign. Okay, and it says delete record. I say okay, and the record has been deleted. Okay, and what else you can do? You can also edit existing data. So let's say Ilona Musk, okay, and I'm going to confirm that, and that should be also stored in my database. Now, let's also create this navigator for our membership types, because I want to show you something else which is very important. So I'm going to close the application. I will add another navigator. Okay, I will put it here. Okay, and I will just connect my membership types table with this navigator. And if I run this application, now we should be able to use that second navigator in order to add new records to our membership types, delete existing, or update existing records inside this table. So what is going to happen if I try to delete this yearly membership? So I'm going to select yearly membership and then click on this minus. And if I try to delete record, we are going to get an error. Now, the reason why we are getting this error, it says violation of foreign key constraint on table gym users. This error here means that you are trying to delete a record from this membership types table that is used as a foreign key inside another table, and that is gym users table. So let's see what I'm talking about. So we try to delete this record 3, so yearly membership type, but we cannot do that as long as we have users inside this gym users table which are using that membership. So here I have Saldina and Jeff and Ilona using yearly membership type. So we cannot delete that membership type because that would cause a problem inside this gym users table. So in order to be able to delete this record, you will first need to delete all the users that are using that membership type, and then you will be able to delete that membership. So I am going to do that now. I will delete Saldina and then Jeff, okay, and Ilona. I'm deleting Ilona Musk, okay. And now if I try to delete this yearly membership, as you can see, it has been removed without any problems. And if I close this application and open it again, and as you can see, our database is almost empty. We have only one gym user and only 2 memberships, which means that I will have to re-add those users that we just deleted. So I'm going to show you how you can add 1 user and 1 membership type, and then you can use the same logic in order to add as many records as you want. And I will also pause the video and add a couple of records off camera. So let's return membership type, yearly membership type that we've just deleted. So I will say plus, and here I will say that membership ID is going to be 3. Please make sure that you are using a unique ID that does not exist already. Okay, and here membership name is going to be yearly. Okay, and I will just confirm that transaction. Okay, and now I want to add a user for that membership type. Let's say to add gym user with ID 1, he is going to use membership type 3, and his name or her name is going to be Saldina. Last name is going to be Norak, and I'm going to confirm that transaction. And now I'm going to add a couple of more users, and then I will be back. So I have added a couple of records here, and I have also moved these tables around a little bit so that I have enough space to show you something else that we are going to do with this app. But basically, so far we have built an entire CRUD application, meaning create, read, update, and delete. Those are all things that we can now perform with this application. And we have done that in just a couple of minutes, thanks to the C++ Builder RAD Studio. And that is the reason why I like it so much, because it is extremely easy to build fully functional applications in just a couple of minutes that can be used immediately, basically. So again, all the links for the tools that I'm using in this video will be linked in the description. So let's see what else we can do with this application. Let's see, for example, that we are the owner of this gym. So what I want to do as an owner, I want to be able to, for example, click on a specific membership type, and I want to be able to see all the users that are subscribed to that membership type. So let's see how we are going to implement that. So in order to do that, we will need to write a query that is going to select all of gym users who have membership type which we have clicked on. So let's add a query. I'm going to search inside this palette for FD query. Okay, and I am going to put it here, and here we need to write a query. So I'm going to double click here and I will write a query inside this console. So here is the query that I want to paste inside this SQL command window. Okay, now if I try to execute this query, we are not going to get anything. And the reason for that is because here we are saying the following. Please select everything from gym users table where membership ID of that user is equal to this input parameter. This colon sign and then the name means, hey, I'm going to pass you this as an input parameter. And that input parameter is going to be passed by clicking on our memberships, as I explained. But in this situation, we don't have anything to pass. So in order to test this query, I'm going to manually hard code membership ID, let's say 3. And if I execute it now, you can see that we have all of the users with membership ID 3. If I change this to 2 and I execute it again, we have users with membership ID 2. Different users, but those are users with membership ID 2. So that is hard coding membership ID. But what I want to do is I want for that membership ID to be passed dynamically when we click on the membership that we desire. So in order to say that, again, you put colon sign and then membership ID. And again, if I execute this, we are not going to get anything, any records, because we need to pass this as a parameter. So now let's see how we are going to do that. Click OK to save this query. And now let's see how we can pass a parameter to this query. So for this, we need a control called data source. And you can find it inside this palette. So data source, T data source, and I will drag and drop it here. Okay. And to this data source, I will tell to this data source that it is going to draw data from this table, memberships table. So you set its data set property to membership types table. Okay. And now what you are going to do is you are going to tell to your FD query, hey, you will use this data source one, this data set. So here you need to find a property called master source. Okay. And you will set its master source to data source one, which is the one that we've just added. And then here for master fields, what you need to do is you need to say, let's just return this back. Okay, so here you need to say that you want to include this membership ID field. Okay, so you need to move it to this included fields. And what this will do is that every time that you click on a specific membership type, it is going to trigger the execution of this query and pass that selected membership type as a input parameter. And then we are going to get all of the users that use that membership type. Okay, now one last step. In order to be able to see those users that we get as a result of the execution of this query, we need to have some sort of grid to show those users. So again, I'm going to use T-string grid. Okay. And I will drag and drop it here, make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And I want to connect this T-string grid with this query. So here is my FD query one, and here is my T-string grid. So I'll just connect those two like this. Okay. And one more thing, in order to be able to see the data here, what you need to do is the same that you did with tables. You need to set the state of the query connection to active. So select your FD query and tell it that it is now active. Okay, and now you will be able to see your data. So now let's test our application. I'm going to run this application and let's see if we have built everything correctly. Okay, we have one error, and that error is that the program is still running. So I'm going to close it from the previous time that we have started it. So let's run it again. Okay, and now, as you can see, if I select weekly membership, we have only one user, Satoshi Nakamoto. Okay, and then if I select 2, we have multiple users. And then For yearly membership, again, we have 4 users. So this is a fully functional application that we have built in however long this video is. I'm going to see that after edit. And let's see if it has bugs. Let's delete, for example, Bill Gates. His membership type is 2. So if I delete Bill, okay, let's now select membership ID 2 to see if we are going to see Bill. No Bill. Bill left the chat. Bill left the gym, actually. So while we have this application, I'm going to show you one more thing, and that is how you can style it a little bit. I'm going to show you a couple of things, and then I will leave the rest to you, because it would probably take an entire video to teach you everything about styling. And if you want me to make that video, let me know in the comment section. And now I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can style this application, this form. So let's close the app. And here in this object inspector, you can do styling of some properties. So for example, if I select this first grid that we added and I navigate to text settings, there's a property called text settings. Here you can change the font, you can change its color, alignment, and so on. So let's change the color, for example, to be, let's say brown. Okay. And then for font, I am going to set this bolded font, semi-bolded font. Okay. And as you can see, that has changed. So here in this object inspector, you can find many different properties that you can play with in order to change the style of your controls. And then another way to do the styling is go to this unit1.cpp, and there you can write C++ code in order to change the style of your controls. So one thing that I want to change are the names of the headers of these controls. So gym user, membership type, first name, last name, and so on. So in order to do that, I will need to access this grid. So I will have to check what is the name of this grid, because that is the property that we use in order to access every single control from C++ code. We use its name. So I will have to access it through this form and then this grid, and then I can change its style. So the name of the form, that property is here inside Object Inspector. So name is form1. And then the name of this grid is string grid1. You can change that name. Let's change it to be called gym users grid, like this. Okay, and I'm going to copy that name because we will need it. Okay, so now if I navigate to unit1.cpp, that is where we write our C++ code. Here I'm going to say form1, and then I use this symbol because we are working with pointers in this situation. And I will say that I want to access my gym users grid, and I want to access its columns. So I will say column, and I want to access the first one. That is going to be the one with the index 0. And what I want to do is I want to set its header. So I will say header is equal to, and here I will specify the text for the header. And if you remember, the first column is this one. It is gym user ID. So I will change that to say only ID, like this. Okay. And we have an error here. So the name of the property is not column, it's columns, like this. Okay. So with this, we have changed the header of the first column. We have 3 more columns. I'm going to type that code very quickly and I will be back. Okay. So with this, we have changed the headers of every column inside our grid. So if I run my application, let's see what we are going to get. And as you can see, here it says ID, membership T, membership type, first name, last name. So this bothers me. So what I want to do is I want to make this column a little bit bigger, this one a little bit smaller, this one also smaller, and then this one is also going to be smaller so that it fits the text that is inside it. So I will copy this part here, paste it, and instead of setting the header, what I want to set is width. And let's say that the width of the first column is going to be equal to 20. That should be enough for ID. And then let's also copy this 3 more times for the remaining 3 columns. So column 1 is going to be, let's say, 120. And then column 2, which is first name, let's say 80. And then column 3, last name, that should be 80 as well. So if I run the program, let's see what we have. Okay, and as you can see, here we have these columns with the changed width. And one more thing that I want to do is I want to change the width of the entire grid. So let's do that as well. Let's say form 1, gym users grid, and its width is going to be sum of these 4, and that is 300, I believe. Okay, so if I run the app again, we should see that change applied. Okay, and as you can see, here are changed sizes of all of these columns. Okay, so now I will do the rest of the styling for this form, and then I will be back to show you the final result. And also all the code from this video is going to be pinned in the comment. That is because many people don't know how to use Git. And if you want me to film a video about GitHub and teach you everything that you need to know in order to use GitHub and work with it, let me know in the comment section. So here is the final result. You can see the code that I have changed here, and I have also added a couple of labels to make it more understandable to the user and changed a few colors and fonts through Object Inspector. And it works as it should. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, because that way you tell to the YouTube algorithm to recommend this video to other people who are also learning programming. And by sharing knowledge, you are helping other people so that in the future, when you don't understand something and you need help, other people are encouraged to share their knowledge with you. So that way we can all learn from each other and grow together. So thank you very much for watching, and I am going to see you in some other video. Bye! Maco, zmietasz mi do radi. Jedziesz mi kosu, napadasz me. Nie mogę z boku tebe te snima. Rozumiesz?